the Matthew Stafford stuff was going on these last couple of weeks. Are you paying attention to it minute by minute?
Man, I was on it. I got so scared when they was like, "Oh, we're giving them a chance to go look at other teams." Hey, it was starting to get scary out there, man. It was starting to get scary. So.
Welcome in. It is the Tuesday, March 4 edition of the NFL Spotlight Show. I am your host, Ari Meirov. It is a Tuesday here, which of course means we have a special spotlight guest. We are going to be joined this week by Los Angeles Rams guard Kevin Dotson. In my mind, one of the most underrated guards in the NFL, has been in LA the last 2 years, signed a very big deal last offseason, 3 years, $48 million. And of course, the Rams have been in the news a little bit over here over the last week. Matthew Stafford is back in LA. They also re-signed their starting left tackle, Alaric Jackson, to a big contract before he became a free agent. We spoke to Kevin about his entire career, his journey, his path to the NFL, being drafted by the Steelers, and of course, ending up with the Rams, and also spoke about all those topics happening right now in Los Angeles. Of course, it is the offseason right now in the NFL. Free agency is in less than a week. It was a pretty busy Monday around the NFL. We will talk about a lot of the things that happened over here in the NFL on the back end of the show. And of course, it's only going to get busier and busier over here in the coming days. So we're going to have every single day this week a lot of coverage as free agency looms over here next week. But for now, here is my special NFL Spotlight interview with Los Angeles Rams guard Kevin Dotson. Kevin, thanks so much for doing this. How's the offseason been so far?
It's been great, man. A lot of stuff didn't happen. I just proposed to my girlfriend. We went to South Africa for a week, and then I did it on safari, and it was an amazing event for us.
Oh wow! Congratulations to you. That's quite the start to an off season, from the season ending to Africa to proposing. Did you have that all planned already, or this like all of a
I
sudden
had the
happened over here for you?
proposal already, pretty much planned. I had got the ring and everything. Knew we were going to be in South Africa, so it just all lines up perfect.
Well, congratulations to you. I mean, back-to-back off seasons. Last off season, of course, was the big payday. This off season, you're out here proposing to your future spouse of yours. So congrats to you. That's pretty awesome over here. So you were born a twin. You grew up alongside your brother Kenny, and you both played in Pop Warner football. And for most of your upbringing, you were coached by your dad. What was that experience for you to have a twin brother playing alongside you and then being coached by your father?
It was always, it was always just us. Because at the time, like we weren't with our mom, so it's just me, my dad, my brother. So it's just the three Dotson boys. We just always were together. Um, we used to have a small car. We all just get into the car. It was just us, the dudes. So we get to the house. It's just us. Having my dad as a coach, he's easily one of the most influential people in my life. He's done so much for me. I feel like he's definitely raised me to be a great guy, and a lot of people tell me that. And my brother, just having my brother right there, just gave me so much confidence to be able to play the way I wanted to. We had a lot of, communication, things that we were just like nonverbal, and it just I'm glad that I went through it with them. This journey of football.
How did growing up with Kenny just shape you up as a football player and competitor? Whenever you have I have four brothers. I mean, when you have brothers, they could be everything. But having a twin brother who's also playing with you, how did that shape you up when it comes to being competitive and all that?
It's competition all day. Is there's nothing that we can't make a competition out of, and I think I was able to bring that to college and the league. Just having my brother there, never having we never really had big fights or anything like that because we were just so close. He had always been my best friend, and we just love to compete.
Well, coming out of high school, you were the number 4 guard in the state, and you committed to Louisiana Lafayette. Now, that's the same school as your father, Kelsey, where he played, but you received offers from every single major program in Louisiana except LSU. Did that bother you in any way where, like, the school in the state was like, nah?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it got to me a little bit, but at the same time, during the process, uh, there they actually they were getting fired during that time. So the
Hmm.
person who was talking to me, the communication stopped because they were gone, so it was done. So I just never got that same look again from LSU. Went to all the Big Cat camps. They brought me back because they thought I did good. So I was assuming, hey, I'm about to be in there, but I never got the offer, and I think it actually helped me in the long run.
Well, we mentioned Louisiana Lafayette where you went to. What was it like walking in the same halls that your dad once did?
It was kind of crazy because we were on campus with them when we were kids. They had like the
Oh.
the the housing for like the parents and stuff like that. So I remember the school, but I got to actually experience like kind of what my dad probably would have been going through during those times. So it was definitely a eye opener for me to be able to see that.
Well, you go through your entire career there. You have a great career throughout there. You mentioned it earlier, some of the accolades you got. And eventually it's time to make the move to the NFL. You declare for the NFL draft. What was your draft process like? Because you were in that COVID draft in 2020 where the world was just absolutely crazy. It was a very, very weird time. You obviously, there was a combine at the time, but what was it like for you that entire process from January to eventually the draft time, which everybody was at home for?
The beginning of combine all the way through was probably the most I felt the most disciplined, food wise, working out wise, sleep wise. I just felt great every day, just doing what I was supposed to do. I really wasn't going out because I'm like I need to make it to the league. I don't have a combine invite. I don't have really the big school accolades to really get that that extra push. And it was it was good until we did until COVID hit. Everything was great, and then after that, all the gyms closed down. After the gyms closed down, I had to work out in my own driveway. I'm pushing trucks. I'm just trying to do anything to make sure I can keep it because I thought I was still gonna be able to have a pro day. Wasn't able to have a pro day until like 3 weeks of no gym. So I'm just doing stuff on my own, and then people kind of came together and made a makeshift one, and I was so grateful for it just because I've been working so hard to get to that point, to have it all snatched away from something that nobody would ever see coming was kind of hard. Um, but I knew if I just got in front of some people, I knew that I would have a chance.
We get to April and it's time for the draft. Of course, it's Roger Goodell in his basement making picks. What were your expectations for that? Did you think maybe night two I could be get drafted, or was it like did you have an expectation for a team? What was your thought process those nights of the draft? And were you watching it with family and friends? Was it a whole crowd, or what was it like?
Yeah, I had my family there. I kind of knew it should have been like second day, but I was prepared for undrafted. I was prepared to
Oh
just come
wow.
up there and try to take somebody's spot. Because I always tell people like once I get in there, I'm not getting out. So I was kind of expecting that. I was expecting sixth, seventh round. I'm gonna have to claw my way in and stuff like that. But I ended up being first person drafted that didn't go to the combine, and I kind of I've had this dream since I was you know, first, second grade of, all right, I'm go to college at my favorite team used to be Florida. So like I'm gonna go be a Florida Gator because I was like Tim Tebow, everybody. I'm gonna be Florida Gator, then I'll be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And it just came true. Once the Steelers picked, like it was crazy to even get that call. Like, I, it's like I knew it was gonna happen, but when it did, it was more than I can explain.
Well, we haven't mentioned this, but you were a lifelong Steelers fan, your dad as well. What was the family reaction when it's the Steelers? I'm playing in Pittsburgh. It's Ben Roethlisberger. I believe Marquise Pouncey was still there. He was, of course, a Florida Gator. What was that like for you? Where it's like, I'm going to Pittsburgh. This is insane.
It's being able to see all your heroes, all the people that you've been looking up at, and it's just it was such a like the first time seeing being in the building, being able to see the Mike T, even talking to Mike T on the phone when he called. I was like, this feels this. It doesn't feel weird. I mean, it doesn't feel real at all. So once I got the chance, and my dad, he the one that got me into being a Steelers fan. So once he heard that it was going to be the Steelers, it was on. He was telling everybody he wearing Steelers every day for a few weeks. He telling everybody about it. It was a great time.
Well, the Steelers fandom for your family quickly made it to the locker room because after a week 2 win over Denver in your rookie year, Ben Roethlisberger gave you a game ball and said, "Give this to your dad." What was that moment like for you when that happens, where the quarterback is coming to you and says, "Hey, I know you guys love this team. This is for him."
It felt like a dream that I've had before. So it was like, is this all just coming true now? Like, is everything that I dreamed about being on the Steelers just gonna come true now? So it felt great. It felt good just to be able to get that recognition from a hero of yours, and it just, you know, I just lived off that for a little while.
Well, it's pretty cool, and this is what kids really dream of. But you go through your 3 years in Pittsburgh, you start 30 games during that time, and then heading into your final year of your rookie contract, the Steelers end up trading you to the Rams, of course, your current team. Now, we all know football is a business, but behind the scenes, this is real people with real emotions. How did that move impact you? I know there were rumblings about this could happen, and it does happen. How did you feel when that happened for you and you were moved?
I kind of felt blindsided a little bit. Overall, I didn't really understand. I didn't believe that I did bad, um, production wise, anything like that. And I was told that I was, this is competition. You gonna compete for it, but You can kind of tell when it's not, and it's. Once it did that, I just knew that I couldn't, mess my reputation up by being a cancer to the team or anything like that. So I just kept it rolling. Always kept a good attitude. Um, just waiting for my chance. I knew just if I got a chance to go somewhere else, I was gonna make stamp my name on it. So uh, it's one of those things where there's no point in worrying about it. I'm gonna do my thing once I get a chance.
Well, before I get to your time with Durant, which has been outstanding so far, I do just want to go back to the Pittsburgh days over there. What is like one thing you learned from being around Mike Tomlin? Like everyone has a good Mike Tomlin story, the person he is and how he's able to speak to everybody and really get to know you as a person as well. What was the time with Mike Tomlin for 3 years like for you?
It was good. It was, you kind of learn that sometimes negativity is needed. You can't be coddled. You can't be, eased into a lot of situations. If they tell you to play some position, you got to play it. They don't really care if you've never played it before. They paid you to do a job, and you got to do the job. And um, that's something I learned that kind of sticks with me now because I'm just like, if I get into a situation, I got to make it work no matter what. And I think that really sticks with me.
Yeah, now you obviously end up in Los Angeles, this change of scenery. You're now on the West Coast. Eventually, you start starting for them and you settle in over there with the Rams, Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and everybody. What was the transition to Los Angeles like for you? And then that first season where eventually you're inserted to the starting lineup and you never look back. How was that entire adjustment for you? And was there a bit of a chip on your shoulder now that you were with a different team and you're like, you know what, I'm going to prove everybody wrong now?
That's it comes with Pittsburgh is just so football down that you know everybody will start jumping on it once you are seen as less than. So I was getting a lot of hate and stuff like that, and it did give me a little chip on my shoulder. Like I said, I always say if I get a chance to get in, I'm gonna do it. So once I got there, the transition was actually very easy. Learning plays, coaches stayed with me after practice every day, like just to make sure I had it all. And uh, we have people who were so competent in their job, and the way that they taught me was so easy to understand that I'm a few weeks in, and I know the playbook good, and I'm just ready for my opportunity to go full speed.
NFL Spotlight is sponsored by BetterHelp. Who is part of your support system? Think about your favorite leaders, mentors, and idols. They don't have all the answers, but they do know when to ask questions or seek support from their community. In a society that glorifies hyper independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better when we have a support system behind us. Therapy could be a source of support for any area of your life. It's time to shift the focus from doing it all to knowing that we're better when we ask for help.
BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient. Serving over 5 million people worldwide, you can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists in a wide range of specialties and easily switch therapists at any time at no extra cost. I've used therapy in the past to help sharpen my goals, discuss my struggles, and help strengthen and understand the relationships with my friends and family.
Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/NFL Spotlight today to get 10% off your first month. Again, that is betterhelp, HELP.com/NFL Spotlight. Well, you play that entire first season with the Rams, your contract expires. Now, I remember last offseason, the entire process of you about to become a free agent. I knew how much Sean McVay wanted to retain you. What was it like for you where now you have this team that was ready to make a big commitment to you just 7 months after making it to LA, and they give you that contract, which obviously was a life changing one?
When they gave me the contract, it almost felt like how in college when you had a big essay due and you just got it done and you just man, I can live free. I'm good. I really just it it made me have freedom. It made me feel like I had freedom, like because coming into a new team and trying to start, and you pretty much are on a contract where you need to make stuff happen. You need to make it to, like, I think we had to be like top 10 O lines. Like there was an incentive, and there was a bunch of stuff that I needed to get, and I knew if I got these things that next year it would be hard for them to not. Well, it'd be hard for them to justify not bringing me back. So once we got in there, and I felt like we had finished this. After we finished the season, I'm like, I feel good about this. I feel great. I feel like everything that I needed to do, I did. So I didn't have that much stress on me, but it still was nerve wracking. Just all the talks that you have to do during that process of trying to get a team to sign you. Um, that's the nerve wracking thing. It's like, um, do I go into the whole rigmarole of going to different teams and talking and in free agency, or do I try to get this done in a team that I know that I can thrive in? And once we made the decision, it was good.
I remember it really well. I mean, I was talking to your agent throughout the process. I mean, the Rams wanted you back so badly, and there was interest from a bunch of other teams, but you were able to get an outstanding contract. They were really pounding the table to make sure you come back, and they were willing to do a 3-year deal, which is a very player friendly type of a contract. So you got a really, really great deal to come back to Los Angeles. And these last 2 years, you guys have been top 5 in run blocking. The entire offensive line has really been fortified in big part to what you've done over there. I did want to ask you just about this past season where you guys start 1-4. It feels like everybody's getting injured. Jonah's down, Steve is down, Rob is down. You find a way to play 100% of the snaps the entire year. You finally get a rest game in week 18. What was that like starting 1-4, turning around, everyone gets healthy, and then winning the division, making the playoffs? The entire year felt like a roller coaster. What was 2024 like?
At the beginning, I just felt like I had to be that anchor for the team and for the O line at least. You know, it's hard to leave. We had a whole bunch of rookies, young guys, second year. It's like it's hard to just leave them in that spot, and I wanted to be that, that rock for everybody. I had a few injuries during the year, and I kind of went through them and played during the season because I was just like, I know once everybody gets back, I know the talent that we have on the team. That I'm just like, if they can make it back by the time, and we don't lose any more, big games like that, I felt like we could make a run, and that's exactly what we did. Everybody got healthy at the right time, and everybody made the plays they were supposed to make, and it all came together.
Four things here before I wrap up. Number one, when it comes to just the last couple of weeks, we've seen some news with your team. Number one, your left tackle, Alaric Jackson, was supposed to become a free agent. He just signed a new deal to come to LA. What's that like when you have continuity on the offensive line and seeing another one of your brothers get paid?
I mean, that's like the main thing for O line. If we can't get everybody to get some, you know being able to play with each other just builds confidence in each other's ability to play. So it's like that's kind of how I felt during the season. We couldn't get any continuity because everybody was hurt. But I knew once we get 3-4 games under our belt that everybody was going to gel together and it was going to be that. And there's kind of like when you sign a contract like this and have people, multiple people with contracts on a O line, that just like compounding, continuity. And this is stuff. This is going to be years. This is going to be, like in Pittsburgh when I came in there, I had Pouncey, DeCastro, Villanueva, Foster just left. Like
Mhm.
these people have been together for 5, 6 years, 7 years, and you could tell just being in the room with them, they just had so much, nonverbal communication. They had, just having a secret joke with each other builds confidence to like, and people don't really understand that, being on playing with the same person just makes you play better.
Get it. It all starts up front. Look at Philadelphia. Look at what you guys are trying to build in Los Angeles. When you have the same guys in front of you, you build that brotherhood. That's where the winning happens. If you guys are able to have the 5 guys there dominate up front. I don't know how much you guys pay attention to the news throughout the offseason, but the Matthew Stafford stuff was going on these last couple of weeks. Are you paying attention to it minute by minute, all these updates? And like when it finally
Man,
happens, he's
I
back.
was I was on it as soon as they said. I remember I got so scared when they was like, "Oh, we're giving them a chance to go look at other teams." Hey, it was starting to get scary out there, man. It was starting to get scary. So once I got that confirmation that he was staying, man, I was so happy. I was so happy because he makes so much of a difference, man. It's crazy.
What is it about Matthew? Like everyone talks so highly about him. There's the toughness, the grit, the ability. Is there something about Matthew that the general public just doesn't know about him?
He is easily the toughest quarterback in the league. I'm not. I put that on anything. He's the toughest quarterback I've ever seen. He's done stuff that I'm just like, man, I would have been out the game. And the reason that I don't know how you stayed in here, and he stayed in there. played well too, and just like he's he's the general on the field at all times. His eyes get different when it's crunch time. We know what to do. It's different. You have so much confidence in him that if something doesn't go right, that's a surprise. So up until the last play of the of the season, I'm like, we about to go to the Super Bowl. Like I didn't feel anything. I had no doubt that we were gonna make it happen. And I wish we could have made it happen, but he gives the team so much confidence. You could ask anybody. Nobody had a doubt that we were going down there to score. And that's the thing that he brings. He brings so much confidence, so much you know, it lets you play to let me say it lets you play with more freedom because you have this guy back here, and if you give him 3 seconds back there, he's gonna make something happen. And 2 seconds, he's gonna make something happen. And he was he is uh the my favorite quarterback that I've played with. He just is.
Have you ever seen the mic'd up clip of him against the Browns? I think it was his rookie year when he gets knocked down and he finds a way back up and still plays the final. His shoulder was dislocated. Did you ever see that clip before? I'll text it to you if you
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. Uh, he's done stuff like that in our games where I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing in here? And then he get back up and he's back in the game, and I'm like, hey, let's go. And that brings everybody with him. He brings everybody with him because it's just he would die to stay in the game. And if you've been lollygagging and you see that, it's just like, what am I doing? Let me lock in because if this guy is serious and if I want to be anything like him, anything close to him, I need to start locking in.
Sean McVay this week said that I'm sleeping better at nights right now that I know that he's back with us here for another year. I'm sure you probably are as well. Last couple of things here before I wrap this up. I mentioned Sean McVay. He's kind of known as this boy genius out there when it comes to offense. It's so impressive what he's able to do. What's it been like being with him these last couple of years and just seeing him work in offense and do everything that he's done?
Man, seeing how much that he puts into it is it's crazy. I can't imagine how his off season is because I'm just imagining him making more plays because I just don't see him going home and relaxing, just sitting by the pool without thinking up some plays while something's happening. I feel like he's such a workaholic that he's making he makes stuff happen just off of his imagination of all the things that he's seen. Um, during the season, it seems like his mind is always working. It's always going. It's always, what if I did this? What if I moved him around, but got back to this and did that? And I don't think people can think like him. I think he thinks in 4D or something. He just thinking in every direction. Uh, what it's gonna make the defense do, what the offense is looking like, what he wants it to look like, and what it is, and what the defense should think that it is, and what you know, it's a lot. It's a lot, and he's a great coach. He's one of the most positive coaches I've had. Um, he locks us in. He makes speeches that really got us past a lot of stuff. Like after the 1-4, he brought us in the room, had pretty much a just a come to Jesus meeting of like, hey, this is what is gonna happen for the rest of the season, man. And he just gave us that comment. He's like, hey, we're gonna go for the rest of the season. We're gonna play our best, and we know what happens when we play our best. Uh, he pretty much, we almost had the exact record that he was. Yeah, hey, we we know what we're doing. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Last question. I ask this to every guest who comes on, Kevin. It's the NFL Spotlight Show. We love spotlighting people who deserve more recognition. You could pick a player, a coach, an executive, whoever you want. Who do you think should be in this seat here in the future?
I believe Robert Hunt. Robert Hunt is
Yes.
he's my guy, and he is a great guard. He got his bid this year to go to the Pro Bowl, but I still don't think enough people talk about him and how good he is. Yeah.
Yep, you guys, of course, are very, very close. Both of you went to Louisiana, and it's pretty cool last year for both of you to get your paydays here in the NFL at the same time. He's now in Carolina after being in Miami. You, of course, go from Pittsburgh to LA, and look at you, both of you. Look at both of you now. It's pretty awesome. Successful players in the NFL after starting off so young. So we're definitely going to try to get Robert Hunt here on the show.
Yeah,
Kevin,
that was my first roommate. Like that was the first first guy I ever met in college. So yeah.
well, look at both of you now. It's pretty awesome. You guys are having highly successful careers in the NFL. So, round of applause to both of you. Kevin, I want to thank you for coming here on the show, going through your journey, your career, everything you've done so far in your career. It's been outstanding. Your determination. It's something that every player should learn from you as well. Congrats on the engagement and enjoying the rest of the offseason.
Man, thank you. I appreciate it.
Special thanks to Rams guard Kevin Dotson for being our special spotlight guest of the week. I mean, what a person there. I mean, somebody who was traded by Pittsburgh, thought nobody wants him, ends up here in Los Angeles and puts his head down, gets to work, gets the starting job, gets a big contract, and really was the only consistent and durable offensive lineman this past year in LA, in a year which was looking really, really bad at first, starting 1-4, and of course, turning it around, making the playoffs, and nearly beating the eventual Super Bowl champions in that divisional round versus the Eagles in the snowy Philadelphia. They were a play away from winning that game. Kevin Dotson thought, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to win this game. He really believed that. And just hearing him talk about everything from his career to Matthew Stafford and everything else, what a great guy and what a great career he's had so far, and many more years ahead for him as well. So special thanks to Kevin for joining us here on the show this week. All right, let's wrap it up over here on this Tuesday. The offseason is in full swing. Free agency is in less than a week. The franchise tag deadline over here is today. We're going to find out the full list of players who got tagged. Shouldn't be too much, but let me bring in my good friend Ben Allen. Ben, what is going on? How are you? How are we finishing off here on this Tuesday?
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and talk about one of those guys who we know is going to be getting the franchise tag, and that's Tee Higgins. And oh, by the way, it's the second time he's gotten it. You've been speaking honestly about this for the past year, that there was a real chance that Tee Higgins was not going to be back in Cincinnati this upcoming season. There's still a chance he may not be, but we know that he is going to at least likely be under contract with this tag. So what can you give us as far as insight goes into this situation?
A couple of things here. First of all, when they tagged him last year, they did not even try to negotiate a new deal. Their intention was play out the tag, go next year, become a free agent. And that really was their plan. That really was. But then as the year went on, Joe Burrow started putting all this public pressure, like, we better not let this guy go. And they basically realized that we really should not let this guy go the way we thought. So they tagged him again over here for $26 million. Now, the difference from last year to this year is that last year there truly were no negotiations. Like, it was dead quiet and nothing was going on. This year, there at least have been some talks over here with the Bengals front office, Katie Blackburn, Duke Tobin, and that front office with his new agent, Rocky Arsenal, about a long-term deal, but they're still far apart. I believe the number over here to get this deal done is going to have to be at least $30 million per year, and the Bengals are just not there right now when it comes to Tee Higgins. So far, he's been tagged, and we'll see if he decides to request the trade again like he did last year. I do believe if he does, it's still not going to do anything because this is an organization that simply would not be rattled by such a thing happening. So this is a situation where we're just going to see how this all shakes out. Again, he was not expecting to be tagged at this time last year. They were like, we'll tag you once, you can leave after this year, and that's it. Now he's getting tagged a second time, and it's like, what do I do? Because T has been waiting now 3 years for a contract. After his third year, he became eligible. There was no deal. After his fourth year, he finished his contract. He got tagged the first time, finishes now a fifth year and gets tagged a second time. Every player wants that long-term security, and so far, the Bengals have just not been there. So what is going to happen over here? Does he try to push some buttons over here to make it even more uncomfortable? I can tell you this much. T is not happy about it. He wants to get a long-term deal. He's been waiting a long time. But the Bengals, there's public pressure out there from Joe Burrow. Joe said you better keep these guys. They're also negotiating with Jamar Chase. They're still far apart on that deal as well. They're going to have to get to $40 million per year at least to get that deal done. So there are a lot of moving parts over here in Cincinnati. What else I could tell you when it comes to this, there's a number of teams who would be very interested in Tee Higgins if the Bengals were ever to at least entertain trading him. The New England Patriots right now would be Adam, they would love to get him right now if they could. They would trade for him if they could right now. The Bengals have shown no interest. So we're going to have these next couple of days over here, and we're going to be keeping an eye on, does the agent over here, Rocky Arsenal, do everything? He does have some leverage here, which the previous agent did not have, because he represents both Jamar Chase and Tee Higgins. So you can tell the Bengals, if you don't do this, I'm not doing that with this player, and make it super awkward. So it's one of the most fascinating situations that we have over here this offseason. But for now, the tag is in. That is official. It's right now $26 million for this upcoming year for a second straight tag for Tee Higgins. And what he does, what the Bengals do, they're still talking, but those talks are still a little bit far apart over here. So where this goes, I think there's going to be some sort of movement, whether it's his side or their side, in these next few days before free agency officially kicks off that legal tampering period on Monday.
We had another move take place on Monday as well. This time on the other side of things, Darius Slay is going to be cut by the Philadelphia Eagles. A little bit of a cap casualty situation there, but it doesn't seem like they're actually slamming the door shut on an opportunity to bring him back, right?
So for now, they are going to release him as a post June 1 cut. We mentioned him as a potential cut candidate when we did our cuts edition of the show a couple of Tuesdays ago. It happens over here. They're going to save $4 million in cap space by doing that. They'll get that savings on June 1st. More importantly, they save the base salary that it was projected to make this year, about $13-14 million. None of it was guaranteed. So that cash comes off the books. And Darius Slay said during Super Bowl week that he wants to play one more year. His preference is for it to be in Philadelphia. So coming back on a cheaper contract where he was scheduled to make 14, but maybe it comes down less, that is a possibility. I know he was on the 33rd Teams podcast network. We have the same Brown brothers. He was on it a couple of weeks ago. He mentioned the two teams he's cool with being with is Detroit, his former team, and Philadelphia, which at the time was his current team. So the Lions, they could maybe be in the cornerback market. I could say this. Last year, if we remember, the Eagles thought about releasing Darius Slay. I think there was a report out there that they were releasing him. Eventually, they were able to renegotiate a contract and not release him. But his agent at the time, Drew Rosenhaus, was prepared for a cut, and he already started talking to other teams. The Baltimore Ravens were the team that he was going to sign with had he have actually been released. So we're going to see over here when they process that release, it can only become official on March 12th, which teams will be interested, and would Darius Slay be open to joining another team out there that is not the Eagles or the Lions? I do think the Ravens would be interested. I think the Steelers would be interested. Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator, has a relationship with Darius Slay. A lot of teams could use him. He has been healthy for the most part. I don't think he's going to be demanding a crazy number out there on the open market. So I do think he will have a healthy market, but the possibility of going back to Philadelphia is still on the table, but just on a cheaper contract for less cash in this upcoming season, which will likely be his final year in the NFL. So for now, it's a goodbye, but it's not an official goodbye yet.
All right. That's all I got for you today. If you guys are watching here on YouTube, fantastic. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're listening on the audio feeds, great. Make sure you go to YouTube and also subscribe. If you're watching here on X later on, go to YouTube, subscribe. It's that simple. Appreciate you guys for always following and supporting us. And Ari, unless you got anything else, take us home.
Yep, that will do it here for our Tuesday, March 4 edition of the NFL Spotlight Show. Thanks again to Kevin Dotson for being our guest of the week. The offseason is ramping up. It's getting hot. It's going to heat up even more. We will be back here tomorrow morning with our regular daily episode, 15, 20, 25 minutes, however long it goes. We'll talk about all the news, all the stuff going on, what to watch for, the ripple effects, and much more. So see you all here tomorrow morning.